By the end of this video, I'm going to give you a pacing strategy that's going to work for you for your first century. My name is Dr. Story. I've been a chiropractor for over 24 years. I've been a cyclist all my life, and I'm going to give you a strategy that's going to work extremely well if you are attempting your first century. Now, if you've seen my other videos, and I do have other videos, and you can look for them on my channel of how to use nutrition for your first century, how to train for your first century, but now you're ready. What is the strategy that you're going to use to make it through and actually have a good time on this century? My recommendation is to pace yourself in such a way that you're not totally destroyed at the end of the ride. The worst thing you could do is go out too fast, too hard, hit that first hill, and really try to smash it. And by the time you're at 40 miles, you are just trying to figure out how you're ever going to make it. If you actually do make it and finish the century, you won't be able to even ride for 2 weeks after. That's not what I want for you. I want you to have a good time. So the pacing strategy is this. So far, if you've trained for it, you know you can make it 80 miles. What I would recommend is for the first hour to literally watch your speed. If you have a power meter, to watch your watts, watch your heart rate, do whatever strategy you can to make the first 20 miles literally seem easy peasy, super easy, almost as if you went through the first 20 miles and didn't even try. If you're with other people and they're simply going too fast for you, you need to reassess whether that group is right for you during this first time you're doing a century. If you are riding with a group, make sure that you're drafting pretty much the entire first 20 miles, because you want to make the first 20 miles extremely easy. And very often, if you're going to do a century either by yourself, you'll have to do this yourself, or if you're doing a group or a event, they will usually have rest stops. Many people will just blast through the first rest stop, and I think that's a mistake. I think it's important for the first 20 miles to literally get off the bike, stand up, stretch, get your butt's gonna appreciate it at the end of the ride. So you take a little break, 5 minutes or so, just off the bike. Get back on the bike, and again, the same thing as the first 20 miles. You want to try to make the second 20 miles up to mile 40 extremely, extremely easy. Now, depending on the terrain, there may be some hills. And what you want to do is, this is not the time to race up the hills. What you want to do is go easy gears, spinning up these hills at your pace, the pace that you feel comfortable setting. This is not the time to blast the thighs and race up a hill and do a King of the Mountain Strava segment. So, because you have a long way to go. So as you hit mile 40, you'll find that there might be another rest stop. Make sure and take that rest stop. Another 5 minutes, stand up, get your butt off the saddle, stretch for just 2-3 minutes at most, get back on the bike. Don't spend too much time at the rest stops. Then you're gonna aim for mile 60. Now, once you hit mile 60, you're gonna start noticing that easy peasy pace that you were staying steady at, you're starting to notice, wow, this is a long day. Once you hit mile 60, then you should start to feel as though you're starting to maybe fatigue a wee bit. But keep an eye on your heart rate, keep an eye on your power, keep an eye on just how your body feels. If you notice that you're breathing, zone 3, into zone 4 type of thing, you're just simply going too hard at mile 60. Once you pass mile 60, then that is what I would call the top of the hump. Okay, it's not mile 50, it's mile 60, 65. And now after mile 60 is when it's going to start to get difficult. This is where you're going to start to notice that the saddle is a lot harder than you previously thought, that your hands are going to start fatiguing, your neck might start fatiguing. This is why it's important to take a break at mile 60 and mile 80. And you're going to take breaks. Now, once you get to mile 80, which you've already done in the past, Now keep that in mind. Already with training, you've already done 80 miles, but normally you would get off the bike at this point. Now you've got 20 miles left. You should have enough gas in the tank, so to speak, that now you can basically, through motivation and maybe drafting people, that you can make it to that last 100 miles. And so really that last 20 miles is the most difficult because your fatigue exponentially grows as the miles go by. So the last 10 miles, for example, are a lot harder than the first 10 miles. Or if you were to pick the 10 miles between mile 50 and 60, how much fatigue changed in that time period is a lot different than the miles from 90 to 100. So you need to be prepared for that. So what happens is when you are pacing yourself, you need to realize that that last 20 miles, especially the last 10, might be very difficult for you. And that's why my philosophy on how to ride a Century for a first timer is to make it super easy for the first 60. I hope this has been informative to you. I hope that this helps you pace yourself during your first 100. Congratulations in advance, and I hope this video helps you. Subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and share this on social media.